Greg, Curry now has a gold medal to go along with his 4 NBA titles, and we're going to talk legacy here. And before I go to you, here's where I stand. This is the final piece for him. He was obviously a made man. A lot of people thought already top 10 all time, certainly in that 8 to 12 range all time, the greatest small player ever, all of those things. But his career did have a weird stretch is the wrong word, but he wins league MVP in 15, wins the championship. Is the first ever unanimous MVP in 16, looks like is going to win another championship. And in the next few years, don't go exactly, I think, how his biggest fans or he himself planned. Obviously, losing the 2016 finals. Then they win 2 more championships, but Kevin Durant's the best guy in those finals. Then Steph loses a season with the hand injury. It's like, oh, okay, we kind of know where he's going to be historically. But then he wins the title in 2022, and then he has what I think will go down as the single most memorable sequence in men's Olympic basketball history. Kobe had a great moment in 08 against Spain, but that final shot, the first one was the most important when they was down to the 3-point game. The final one is the one that is going to be, kind of emblazoned on our memories forever. And for him to do this, if we can show it, in the final 250 of the game, hit 4 threes. So he's only done that one other time in his career. It was actually in a finals game they lost in 2015. But for him to have arguably his hottest stretch at the end of a game in his career, with his only gold medal he's ever going to have a chance to get for on the line, to me, it was the final piece of what has been an almost perfect basketball career.
Yeah, I agree. For me, looking at Steph Curry in this moment, in this gold medal match, Serbia, obviously what he was able to do in that quarter, that fourth quarter, and throughout that entire game, like it's. For watching from a fan's perspective, we've always known that Steph Curry was a great player. We've never seen Steph Curry on this level at the Olympics where he's surrounded by greatness, and it's not an all-star game. This is really meaningful basketball with a lot at stake. Arguably could have been the biggest letdown in sports history if they don't get it done. And he arrives as the alpha. Like, they all kind of defer, like, go. Like, Curry, we've never seen that. Like, we've seen Durant on this level at this stage at the Olympics be that guy. We've seen LeBron be that guy. We've seen Carmelo, we've seen others be that guy. We've never seen this with Steph Curry. Not that we doubted that he could be this.
But sometimes you got to see something to see it. I know that sounds ridiculous.
And by the way, like, he was struggling.
Well,
he was struggling the entire Olympics tournament up until that Serbia game. And then, obviously, it leads to what we saw in those final couple minutes that really solidified them getting that gold medal.
And it was, the reason I wanted to, the image that's going to be in everyone's head is the final 3, because it was so. Steph's the only player in the league.
You don't shoot that.
Everyone else that takes that shot, under any circumstances, would be chastised by the coach. 100%. If everyone else that takes the shot, it's a horrific shot. And for Steph, he not only is he allowed to do it, he's encouraged to do it because he can do it. That's going to be the image everyone has. But that shot was almost a house money shot. The game was not totally in hand, but in hand essentially at that point. The first one was a different story. And up to that point, Steph had been fine in the game, but he had 12 points, and there was less than 3 minutes left. He had one good game the whole tournament, as you mentioned, the Serbia game. And a game that the U.S. had controlled the entire time. All of a sudden, holy crap, it's a 3-point game. Steph had some turnovers, LeBron had some turnovers. It looked like, oh, wait, is this all of a sudden, are they going to lose? I didn't think they were going to lose, but it was a one-possession game. And LeBron finds him, and Steph hits that 3 to let everyone relax. That, to me, was the biggest shot of the entire tournament, aside from maybe Durant's jumper in the Serbia game. And there's no one else in the world you'd rather taking that three-pointer than Steph Curry.
Yeah, and I don't want to overlook the idea that Steve Kerr is the head coach, because
Sure.
I think all of this plays into why we were able to see Steph emerge and have these moments against Serbia, obviously, in the waning moments of the gold medal match, because he had a coach who understood, like, this is who he is. But not only did the coach understand it, the other guys on the floor, this was the ultimate remove ego, allow this man, because they've all seen it. Kevin Durant has obviously been on the floor with him while he's done these types of things. LeBron has never been a teammate when it matters, when Steph Curry has been doing these types of things, unless he's on the floor and he's an opponent. We've all seen it. But for Steph Curry to get it going, and the guys even on the bench to know he has it going. For Steph Curry to start almost demanding the ball, but not even needing to demand it, because the moment they cross half court,
everybody was
like,
going to find him.
Get out the way. Let's try to get him the ball, because you know when he gets to that point, it's almost nothing but nylon. You got to give the man respect, and I think this took his legacy to.
It's just a final little piece.
Just a little notch higher.
That I totally agree, because it's a memorable Olympic moment. And without LeBron and Steph both being brilliant in the Serbia game, they lose. And without Steph hitting this flurry of threes at the end of this game, I don't know if they lose or not, but I know that if he misses that first one, it's France ball in the three-point game, and we'll see what the hell happens. And I loved the fact that early in the tournament, everyone was deferring to LeBron. They said, what was the difference in some of those games? They said, we have LeBron James. The South Sudan game and the game after that when he hit basically the game winner. Durant had missed time. Durant then comes in the first game that matters off the bench and goes like 10 of 10 from the field to start that game, plays basically a perfect game of basketball. And then at the end, it was Steph Curry. The three flag bearers, well, metaphorically, standard bearers of this era of basketball were the three guys the coaching staff and teammates leaned on, and a close race. Greg, are you okay with LeBron being named tournament MVP?
Of course, I'm okay with it. And I think if you understand and you watch this entire run that they were on, LeBron was the constant. He was the glue. He was what allowed this team to become what they ultimately were, which was gold medal champions. Like, what LeBron was able to display, it's really just a great depiction of what his career has always been. His willingness to be unselfish and to be whatever is needed whenever it's needed at the most important moments. Like when no one else had it going, when we were kind of coasting through all these games, you know who woke up, you know who got it going, you know who went down with 6-point stretches, who on flurries on his own? LeBron James, the 39-year-old.
And I think real quick, I know that the exhibition games didn't play into the MVP, what we're not supposed to play into who was tournament MVP. I do think LeBron's excellence in those exhibition games to keep the U.S. undefeated gave them a sense of invincibility that helped them come to the Serbia game. That set the tone for all of them.
Yeah, it set when you listen to what Steve Kerr, how he talked about his approach to not only just, we get so caught up at times watching these guys play on the floor. And even as a former athlete, you just expect them to just be great. But you don't know what all it takes behind the scenes unless you're there. And for Steve Kerr and some of these other great athletes talk about, what he means and how he goes about his business, I think it's one of those things that I look at LeBron and I admire it, because when he watched Kobe and he had that experience with the Redeem team, the late, great Kobe Bryant, and they talk about how Kobe worked and they were called coming back from the club or whatever, and he was going to the gym, how that impacted all of them, that meant something to LeBron. Like, he wanted to. There's one thing to leave your legacy because you're a great player. There's another thing to leave your legacy and imprint because you're just an overall bad dude that gets it done, that does it the right way. And that has been LeBron. And so for me, I have no problem with it because his play has always afforded him the opportunity to be in these conversations.
And so listen, I think I'm going to surprise the audience with my response here, because I think they expect me to have a full-throated defense of why LeBron was clearly the tournament's MVP. I would have liked co-MVPs. I would have. Because I think this Olympics, from the U.S. basketball perspective, were about Steph, LeBron, and Kevin Durant. That's what it was about. Mm-hmm. And more so Steph and LeBron, but KD also there as well. But KD was hurt early and, had, up and down moments. Steph did as well. Steph nominated LeBron to carry the flag.
He did.
You know what I mean? LeBron was the vocal leader of the team, but it sure seemed like Steph was, his number 2. And you can make a strong argument for each guy. Because the argument for Steph is very simple. We can show you. The argument for and against him is this graphic right here. The argument against him is the left-hand column, and the argument for him is the right-hand column.
Of course.
I mean, Anthony Edwards had the great, I don't know if you saw it, Steph put on social media that Ant said, I just showed up to Paris 3 days ago. And Ant seemed to be like their little brother that everybody loved, and it was great. So if you want to say, listen, in the semifinal, he had 36, the second most points of any men's U.S. Olympian ever. And in the final, he iced the game. That's 2 of the 6 games that makes him the MVP. Even if I don't agree, it's a legitimate argument. The argument for LeBron is the flip side, which is that he was just excellent every single night. Now, he didn't have any single game as high as Steph's Serbia game, but he led the team in everything except for points, which Steph beat him out by 2 points total in the tournament, not per game, 2 points total. And so it's that, but it's also this. It's that every single night, we can show it to you, was LeBron going to give you double-digit points? Yes. Durant was the next closest. Is he going to give you rebounds and assists? Yes. Every night with, Booker's the only one who did it even twice on the assist part. He shot 67% from the field. He shot 50% every single game. And so I would have been okay with co-MVPs. I would have, if I had a vote to cast, I would have voted for LeBron. If you would have voted for Steph, it's fine. The only thing I'm actually not okay with is anyone screaming about this. I think anyone angry that LeBron won MVP is being disingenuous. It wasn't a lifetime achievement award. It wasn't any of that. It was that in even the Serbia game, you could argue he was as good as Steph in that game. No question. The 4th triple-double in Olympics history, his own second. He's the only U.S. player to do it. And the setting the tone from the exhibition part of it to the leadership part of it, plus the statistical excellence, whether he was 29 or 39. You mentioned the 08 games. I'm like, man, that was 16 years ago. Yeah. He was the second best player on that team 16 years ago, and 16 years later, he's the best player on the team. So I'm fine with him winning MVP.
Like, again, you say you can make the argument of Steph. Yeah. And you could if you only watched those last 2 games.
Well, if you only watch those last 2 games, it has to be
it has to be
sure.
And so that's where I'm like, LeBron, when you put up those numbers of LeBron and what he was able to put on display, every single night you knew what you were going to get. Steve Kerr, when he put that, there was one guy that he knew he didn't have to question.
Correct.
And it was LeBron James.
And you knew eventually Steph would break out of his slump, but you didn't know when it was going to happen. Durant had good and bad nights. Embiid, DNP, great night. The only guy that you knew was going to show up every night and did show up every night was LeBron.
It matters because he can impact the game, he being LeBron, can impact the game in a numerous amount of ways that other players just don't choose to.
Yeah, I think he might have had the pass of the tournament in the France game, the behind the back.
Oh, my goodness.
In the paint with 3 guys. It's unbelievable. All right, well, I also think one of the reasons I was okay with co-MVPs, Greg, was because I'm getting a little basketball, nostalgic's the wrong word, but a little sad that these guys might be done sooner than we'd like. And so, listen, there's been the Dream Team, there was the Redeem Team, and now LeBron's calling this team the Avengers. Many people are speculating that, a super team's going to come out of these Olympics. On Friday, Greg, I presented this trade that I understand is not going to happen, but just so everyone knows, cap-wise, it could. It gets LeBron and Steph and Wemby all together, and the Lakers get Keldon Johnson and some decent picks. The Warriors get Devin Vassell and some excellent picks. Here's here's the thing. LeBron and Steph are still good enough to beat the best player on a champion. They absolutely are. Their teams are not good enough for them to come anywhere close to a championship. I don't want this to be the last big games either one of these guys ever play. And America clearly doesn't either. The ratings tell you those two guys still move the needle more than anybody else. So I don't know how it can happen. The easiest way, I suppose, is a year from now, LeBron opting out of the Lakers deal and just signing in Golden State. I don't see that as a likely option. But I would like Steph and LeBron as the oldest guys in the league, damn near, LeBron literally and Steph close to it, seeing how far they can take it. That's what the super team I would like to come out of this.
Yeah, I don't think it happens. But since we're going to play in the world of what we would like to see, I would love to see that. And my reasoning is a little different. When I watch these Olympic Games, and especially in that Serbia game in that fourth quarter, you watch that game, they were down 12 or whatever, and they found a way to remove all egos, and they allowed the main thing to be the main thing. Whatever it took to get it done is what was going to be required, and it's what they chose to do. You can't pull that out of guys every single night when there's no great expectation looming over you. But when you pair a guy like Stephen Curry and LeBron James, you have that great expectation now looming over you to get it done. There will be in this game, the NBA style of play that they're accustomed to, that we're also acclimated to and accustomed to, it would work. I don't know if it would be sustainable.
I just want to see it. I just want to see it for a playoff run. I just want to see it for. I just want to see them together in the tournament. Just be like, we're the two smartest players in the league. We complement each other perfectly. Let's see how far we can take it. The one super team that might actually come out of this could come to where you live, which is, man, one of my favorite moments of the tournament was the gold medal game when KD threw the lob to Anthony Edwards, and Noah Eagle, shout out to him, who did a wonderful job the whole time saying how cool that must have been for Ant catching that lob from his childhood idol. Man, I also want to see KD in big games. I don't think the Suns are going to do it. Listen, the Karl Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant trade is still just sitting out there if anyone wants to do it.
Look, and Ant would welcome that, and so will every Minnesotan.
It would be unbelievable. It would be so unbelievable.